Kopi Dulu, friends, grab your coffee. It's time for the Sunday morning spread from Cards of Light. Well, hello again, friends. Brian Noe with you. Good to be back with you once again this week. Thank you for joining me for our tarot reading for the week to come. Wanted to talk a little bit this time, too, about where we got these cards, where we got this tradition of tarot, anyway. When you think about it, the idea of shuffling a bunch of pieces of cardboard and trying to find some kind of meaning in all of that is a really interesting thing. And when you begin to work with the tarot some, the stuff that it can uncover is just uncanny a lot of times. So, uh, not going to talk to any extent in this video about how that works, but I would like to talk just a little bit about where we got the system, where we got these cards, and how they all came together as a way of understanding ourselves and understanding the world around us, and that sort of thing. Last time around, I talked about this book by Milo Duquette, Tarot Architect, and I was reading some of it in the second section of it this last week, and ran across a passage where he addresses this. He talks about the actual history of the cards and where they came from, but also how they came to be a system of meaning and a system that could be used as a magical tool. And it reminded me of a blog post that I had done a few years ago on this topic. I'll link to that in the description box here. And so I went out and read that and realized that it was pretty on target. And based on some of the information that's in there, it had to have come from Milo Duquette somewhere. I haven't been able to trace it back to the original source material. I think it was a series of lectures, or at least a lecture that he gave, maybe in Australia or New Zealand, that I had seen on YouTube at some point or another. I'm still trying to find that again to see where these ideas sort of got stuck in my head. But here's the long and the short of it. So there's lots of lore about the tarot and about them being an encoded system from some ancient mystery school, or some group of geniuses got together and refined these cards into a system for divination and those sorts of things. But the history doesn't square with that as nearly as we can tell. This deck just sort of came together, and pretty early on, very close to the structure that it has now in terms of the 22 majors and the four suits and four court cards in each suit, and aces through tens in each suit. And that was not, did not take forever for that version of this deck to come together. And yet it is one of those few things in life where you almost would not be able to improve on it in terms of structure for magical uses, for divination and all of that. It is a very accurate reflection of human consciousness and human life on this planet, the things that we experience on this planet. And so, absent some sort of ancient mystery school that put this together, or some, gathering of geniuses that put it together, how did that happen? And I think the simplest answer, and this is, at least as I understand it, what Milo Duquette is saying about it, is that are certain things within our consciousness as human beings on this planet that kind of have to find their way into anything like this. They have to find expression, and they find expression in art and architecture and music and all of the other literature, all of the other things that move us and that make us human. But they found a unique expression in this deck of cards and in the traditions that surround it, particularly the correspondences within this deck to the Hermetic Kabbalah and to astrology and to other kind of sacred traditions through the years. So it's not so much that these cards were created to do that as these same kind of expressions and shapes and configurations come up over and over again in the sacred traditions that we come up with and that we experience as humans on this planet. I may not be explaining this well, but I will link to the blog post, and I think that it does a pretty good job of explaining it. And I'd like to hear what you think about this too. If there are ideas that you have about how the deck came together, if you've got resources, pointers to books or other information out there about this topic, I am always interested in learning more about it. But I think the long and the short of it is that human consciousness has a way of shaping culture and shaping the tools of our culture. And this is just a really good expression of that we have in the tarot deck. All right, let's go to the table now for a tarot reading for the week. Okay, 4 cards for the week of August 10th, 2025, working with the Thoth deck once again this week. And we're looking at the 4 dimensions of our lives: the physical, social, emotional, mental, and spiritual dimensions. And we have 2 majors and 2 pip cards this week, starting with the Fool in the physical dimension here. This is the card of unconventionality, of taking leaps of faith, of sometimes behaving in ways that don't make sense to the others around us, but they make some sort of sense to us. And so we go ahead and jump out into the unknown, coming as this does in the physical dimension of our lives. So this is the dimension that has to do with physical health, with our physical environment, with our financial matters and that sort of thing. So I would be looking for an unexpected impulse of some sort in this week to come. And I got a feeling this is going to be, this is a temptation to take a financial risk. And I'm getting an intuitive hit here that that would not be a wise thing to do this week. Sometimes we can get good hunches and follow them and things work out just fine. But I'm getting the sense that this is going to be like a sudden impulse, like, ooh, it could be about buying something. It could be about an investment, but some sort of financial decision that will just hit us as an almost irresistible impulse. And I'd say the advice of the card here is don't be a fool and maybe think twice about that if that happens, at least. So it's the way I would look at that one. And if this is resonating with you throughout the week, I'd love to hear about it and love to hear what you decided and how it played out. Okay, over here in the social emotional, we have the 9 of Wands. This is styled strength in the Thoth deck. And I think of this card as feeling beleaguered, but pushing on through it with what strength that we have. This card came up a lot for me during the COVID pandemic, the worst days of that pandemic. And uh, I always styled it, well, we're still here. We're still doing our best and moving along despite all of everything that has been thrown at us, despite how daunting that may sometimes feel. Coming as this does in the social and emotional dimension of our lives, I'm getting a sense this is about relationships for somebody, where we have been trying our best, where we've really been carrying maybe the weight of a relationship, uh, doing our best to get along, and maybe are feeling that those efforts are not being maybe reciprocated in some cases. I think the message here is, let's draw on our inner strength and let's keep on. Let's do the best we can for ourselves and for our own standards. And sometimes in life and in relationships, those efforts eventually pay off. They eventually are reciprocated. They eventually are seen by others, and it contributes to a healthy environment and a healthy relationship. And other times that's not the case, but we want to make sure that we have done our part and that we didn't give up too soon. And so if someone is feeling beleaguered here, particularly in the social emotional dimension, we just are feeling like we're getting near the end of our rope as far as our abilities to keep moving forward. Let's push on just a little bit harder, call on those reserves of inner strength, and and see how that works for us. At least we will be able to walk away from the situation, if that's what happens, feeling that we did our best and have nothing to be ashamed of, and we won't ever look back and regret it and say, if I just hung in a little bit longer. So that'd be my advice for that one. Okay, up here in the mental dimension, we have the moon. And this is just an eerie, eerie, eerie card. Illusion, deception. We might be bewildered. Um, Sometimes it is the card of madness. And coming as it does in the mental dimension here, I think we better be on the lookout for uh, interpreting things incorrectly this coming week and falling prey to a massive calculated deception of some sort. We have this creature here emerging. If we can not act impulsively on uh, whatever it is that is deceiving us, then the truth will emerge. And I have a feeling that it will emerge toward the end of the week. Lots of energy here of kind of being taken in, being confused with both of these cards, with the Fool down in the physical dimension and then this Moon card in the mental dimension. We want to make sure that, particularly, that our own minds aren't playing tricks on us here with this Moon in the mental dimension. So just be wary this week. If something appears that elicits very strong emotions, take a minute, take a breath, step back, maybe do some meditation, and be deliberate about things, and don't just react, because things may not be what they seem to be on the surface. And it feels like to me that this is an intentional effort to deceive us, and we don't want to fall prey to that for sure. Okay, the really good news here in this spread is this Four of Swords, and it's styled Truce here in the Thoth deck. And this is the card of repose. This is a card of, fighting the battles and then finally having some time to take a breather. And again, with these two cards here, if we've been feeling beleaguered, we've been feeling like we've just really been pushing up against all odds here, we're going to get an opportunity to find some peace, at least on over the short term towards the end of this week. We'll be looking at getting some rest and relaxation and a sense of peace with whatever we have encountered throughout the week. So very interesting, somewhat daunting spread with this stuff going over here. We want to just be careful not to be taken in by some kind of deception. We want to not end our efforts and not give up too soon in the social emotional dimension. But up here, we should be getting some resolution toward the end of the week. And if we have behaved with honor and discretion, then we can enjoy that respite and look to see what comes the following week. That's the way I would look at these cards. I'd love to hear what you think about this card reading. If you have questions about it, or if you have thoughts about it, if you would read these cards differently, or if somehow or another this card reading is resonating to you, I would love to hear that. You can leave comments here with the video or visit the weblog at atarotjourney.com. Hey, before you go, if you wouldn't mind to click thumbs up on this video, I would appreciate it. If you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, please do so. We will be back again next week, and in the meantime, as always, I wish you peace. Take care of yourself.